It's another beautiful day and another day of dose of Did You Know? And with me today is, oh my God, my hair coveting woman, Judee. I was like, I have the worst hair ever. I love your hair and I am so jealous. But before I let her introduce herself, because she's more than just a gorgeous head of hair and a gorgeous woman, she's got some substance to her. Because I think when I was writing it out in the description, I was like, holy crap, woman, like what don't you do? So no wonder you are were referred to me by Joyce, our amazing friend, my partner in crime. Joyce, she's out there, she's working, but we love you. And I want everybody, huge shout out to my weekly veteran business patch ops. So if you're sticking with my hat on and all my different patches, that's where I get it from. Like, Judee, I have to tell you, it's like shoes. You have to check them out because you get a hat and then you can put different patches of whatever mood you're in on. Like, this is dangerous. Less expensive than shoes, but a dangerous thing I found. So, Andrew, I know you're out there watching. I see you popped up. Me too, to them. But let's get right into today. Judee, share with the world who you are and a little snippet.
Okay, I come from a big military family, so I want to thank you first for you and your families for your service. And I know that and I know that you represent a lot of our veterans, and I want to thank them also for their service to our country. So
present and listening. Sorry to interrupt, but they're listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I honor my father and my brothers. I always tear up when I think about what they've done.
Yeah.
Very, very honored and humbled family. So thank you so much also. So who am I as a person? I'm a mom, and I'm a mom to a gem of a son with special needs. He's amazing. He's a Jerry Seinfeld clone, pretty much. I'm also an educator. That was my profession, was a classroom instructor, and now I'm an instructor of Kinesio with Kinesio University on the Kinesio taping method, and that has just blossomed the way I practice. I'm also an entrepreneur, so I run a small business, and I'm also an inventor of a amazing waterless, bristleless toothbrush that serves a very special purpose here on Earth, I believe. And then I'm also a true Aquarius. Whatever you read about us, it's true. I'm every bit of that.
I want to talk about this because I was on a call with my friends out west, and I was actually talking about your toothbrush because they're like, what you got going on in the show, I was like, I don't know really about that much about this, but just the fact that it's waterless, it's bristle, and I know that you are uber smart. Joyce wouldn't have just check out this if there wasn't substance behind it. So I got to get into that before I start to talk about anything. I'm dying to know about this.
Would you like to see it?
Yes.
Okay, I have it right here in my hot little hand. So currently it's just a prototype, but we're having a lot of success with that. And in essence, it's the size of my hand, like this. It's rechargeable.
Cool.
And then it runs on two specific, there's my camera. Okay, two specific frequencies. So I have to cover my eyes so I don't get injured by it. So it runs on a red.
Okay.
And so this one is for circulation and inflammation. So that helps with gingivitis or sores in the mouth or whatever. Then it runs on a blue beam, which is designed for bacteria. And then it runs on a combo beam for sterilization. So, and then you can see that it's bristleless. It's very simple. It goes right in the mouth, and then you can place it anywhere you want and run it like a flashlight.
Okay, so you have to like that film you get on your mouth, or maybe, God, I hope that's not just me, but like on my teeth rather, like.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example of how it would work. Okay, and I'm going to sterilize this after I put it in my mouth. Typically, I put a sheath over it, but in essence, I'm just going to.
Yeah. And it gets rid of the gum?
It gets rid of, so the frequencies are all designed to work with cells that benefit from oxygen And so, unfortunately, when we don't follow good hygiene, oral hygiene practices, or we're stressed or sick or things like that, the cellular makeup of bacteria changes. So right now, when you're healthy, there's a neutral balance between a lot of elements, but two primarily ones, which are nitric oxide and oxygen. So as long as they're in balance with each other, then the whole environment is happy pretty much. But when we get sick, one kicks into gear more than the other. So typically it's nitric oxide that kicks into gear. Yep. And so our body has a way of protecting ourselves. And so that's usually when you start seeing more plaque build up. And plaque is, and some literature says that it's a defensive mechanism for the body. However, it takes away from cells that require oxygen. So you need oxygen to stay, certain cells require oxygen to stay more more friendly, I should say. So I'll give you an example of an ecosystem in your mouth. So one is saliva, right? So saliva can look like a really pretty blue stream, or it can look like sink water, one of the two.
Okay, I want pretty blue in my mouth.
Pretty much everybody wants the blue one, right? Well, so you would need oxygen for that kind of appearance. And so if you don't have enough oxygen, then it will turn to a different color, because it's the cells that require oxygen just are not, there's not enough of them.
Right.
So the blue light, what it does is it feeds oxygen into the mouth. And so because it does that, the cells that need oxygen, they're, taking it in, and the ones that don't benefit from it, they kind of get squished out. And that's how you maintain really good balance in the mouth. And it can also help reduce all that plaque in the mouth, and especially on the tongue. People don't pay attention to the tongue, but the tongue is a muscle. It's the largest muscle of your mouth.
Yeah.
It's the floor coat, or the coating of the floor. Tons of sensory things on the tongue, blood. Sorry, what am I talking about? There's a lot of circulation on the tongue with lymphatic fluids and stuff. So when there's plaque on the tongue, it can actually change a lot of how the taste sensations and how swallowing function and things like that. Not to mention, if you swallow, it goes in the throat. That's a whole nother story.
Right. I told you, I was like,
yeah,
the concept of it. So why did you do this? Because I saw your other stuff, and yes, it's all about the body and healing. And Andrew, that Kinesio tape is that tape that Joyce put on you before the Reverend Warriors hike. So that's kind of just a related what that is. How did you end up here with this prototype and doing, besides just being a natural entrepreneur?
Two reasons. So I specialize in swallowing disorders, and I typically work with very, very fragile people. A lot of my folks are intubated, which means they have a tube going down their throat for breathing. And so in that situation, when the mouth is open, you're able to attract more bacteria into the mouth. Unfortunately, conventional methods can be swallowed and dangerous to a person in that condition. So I had to find a way to clean the mouth without using water or toothpaste or things like that. And so that's what drove it. And the biggest concern has to do with the throat. And so unfortunately, I can clean all of this, but there's always going to be bacteria here. And this is the largest pathway to the lungs. You have two gateways, from the nose, mouth to the lungs, and then up through the esophagus. So these are the only two ways to get to the lungs. And so even if I clean the mouth and the teeth and the tongue, you still have bacteria in the throat. And so I've got to find a way to eradicate that, so that way a virus does not become opportunistic. Right. So a virus needs bacteria to activate. And if there's enough of that in the mouth, then a virus can host into that and then make, kind of activate, and then where you're just, inches away from the lungs. So that was one driving force. And the other driving force was my son. He has autism, and he absolutely hates to brush his teeth. And I always thought it had to do with, the reason why and so if you don't brush your teeth, unfortunately, you get gingivitis, you get bleeding gums, you get all that kind of stuff. So I always thought it was that. But he mentioned to me that it had to do with the taste of toothpaste. So he did not like flavors of toothpaste because they were very powerful for him, like mint. So he would tell me they would burn in his mouth. And so, and then the bristles would be like sandpaper. And so he just could not tolerate anything. And so by using it, by shining a light, and heal gums. And then I can, and now we have waterless toothpaste products. It's amazing that what we can do with oral cavity care today, and just supplemental stuff that can be waterless.
Right. Okay. What are you related to Bill Nye the Science Guy? This is awesome.
So I took it. I was very fortunate to work with a naturopathic doctor. She had a son that was born with an anomaly, and she hired me to work with her son to help him swallow. And in looking at the conditions, so let me go back just a little bit why I think like I do. Yeah. So swallowing function is contingent on systems working together, and you have two of them. You have above the throat and below the throat. And there's two things I always have to pay attention to. If it's above the throat, I have to pay attention to oral infectious controls. I have to look at the cavity, and I need to see what it looks like. So is it full of bacteria, missing teeth, dry saliva, bleeding gums? What am I working with here? And then I also have to look at what I'm working with below the throat. So I have to pay attention to how someone's breathing and their digestion. So if someone has a swallowing problem, this is like a given factor. It's irrelevant. What is relevant is what's happening below the throat and above the throat. So, so the one thing that is a direct variable to aspiration is the oral cavity condition. So if I have dysphagia, and even if I have poor immune functioning, I can still have lower risks for aspiration if my mouth is clean. But I will have higher risks for aspiration if I have dysphagia and poor immune system functioning and a dirty oral cavity. So this is why I pay a lot of attention here to ensure that this whole area is optimally functioning. It's in optimal condition. It's hydrated as best that I can make it. And then I can work on respiration, digestion in order to work with swallowing.
Okay, I think you are, and watching too. So I feel like you have a unique soul, because especially I found through my own, which had nothing to do with swallowing my, from my car accident. It was none of that. Yeah. But I'm actually talking to my husband about this because he hurt his shoulder. Is that we go?
Fix it.
You'll have to show me. You go to a specialist, and they are trained in their box, and that's great. But they don't think outside their box. Yes. So they're treating possibly a symptom, not necessarily what is actually going on.
The underlying factor, yes.
Yeah, when I'm listening to you, I'm like, is this normal for people that work in this area to have the concept of thinking like you, or are you unique? Because I feel like you're unique, because I haven't met you.
So my training
now, but.
So I've been very fortunate to be trained to think this way because I've been affiliated with Kinesio University. So my training colleagues have been everybody but a speech pathologist. So I've interacted with chiropractors, I learned TMJ and jaw rehabilitation from athletic trainers. I've learned about spinal segments from chiropractors. I've learned about core strength and hip flexion and how that helps with upright head positioning from PTs. Fine motor skills from OTs. So, and I'm not, my profession and my perception is not orthopedic. I don't deal with muscles. My job is to make joints function and tissue function so that muscles can fire. So I'm more like an electrician, more like a sous chef. I'm not. Yeah, and so because of my affiliation with Kinesio University and the colleagues that I've worked with, and I've worked with a great kinesio taping instructor named Scott Haynes, who knows a lot about light therapy. So I was there. I'm there with people who do things with their hands and who use things to help the body function and heal better. So all I had to do was take what the philosophies and apply it to my discipline.
Right.
That's what I do.
And I have to say, you were very entrepreneurial minded, so you naturally are going to think outside the box even when you're looking at a person. And Russell, my a good friend, he's out in Seattle, well, Spokane, but no one knows where that is. It's near. He said he's gone through swallow tests, but he's never heard of this or explain. And he said that explains a lot about that. So in your professional opinion, what advice do you give people? Because I talk, not just myself, but I talk with a lot of people that have multiple things, especially veterans. Okay. I'm going to talk there, have multiple injuries of some sort, just because of their job, of their lifestyle. And we rely so much on the medical field because it's outside of majority of our minds. So how can we find someone like you in different fields? Like does that make sense? I don't even know if you can answer this question, but it's like a secret key to finding the right person to help you.
Well, you're actually helping with that because now you're allowing a platform for this level of information to come out. And so I personally believe that there are driving forces that are very underestimated. So the first one is oral cavity conditions. I like to call this the dump of your mouth. So would you kiss your mom with the dump? No, you wouldn't. Right? It's the dump of the mouth. It's your dump. And so we don't, a lot of times people look at the oral cavity for cosmetic and aesthetic purposes, but if they just took another look and they could really see the cesspool of activity happening in here, then I think people would be a little bit more mindful about the value of maintaining this area and looking at our dentistry professionals and their value, our registered hygienists, how they're valuable key essential workers. And this is because oral cavity health is connected to systemic health, no matter how you look at it. Right. And the second is breath. So people to understand breath is your pedal to the metal. This is your driving force. This is what's going to help you walk, help you think, help you touch. It's what you need. And then the last one is there are two brain systems that no one thinks about. And one is the gut and that whole digestive tract and skin. So all of this I learned from Dr. Kase, and then I have been able to expand on it through the various modalities that I've learned to use. Right. And so there's a great book called The Brain That Heals by Deutsch. The Brain That Heals. But he talks about the modalities that create changes in the brain. And that would include vibration, it would include touch, it would include light and electricity. So everything that I'm certified to do are all those things.
That helps. Now I'm going to talk about my own personal stuff here for a second. So when you talk about the healing of the brain, so I know a lot about the gut and things like that, right? Your gut is like, they say it's actually your first brain. A lot of people have that. But all those things you talk about, when you talk about the brain, does that help, like even in your mouth, like with this light, does that help with the function with your actual brain, like healing from, because now correct me if I'm wrong, I'm kind of going back. You're going to have to jump around with my thought process.
Sure. No problem. I'm a speech pathologist. I can do it all.
Good. So when I was trying to figure out what is wrong with me after my accident, they either wanted to just drug me or just say, we don't know, and put some label on me. I found Dr. Amen, and I went to the Amen clinic, and they talked about you can heal your brain through traumatic injury. Because it's a muscle. Would this help with that?
So I can only answer what I know my brush can do.
Right.
So I have my evidence suggests that my brush can change the pH of the oral cavity. So pH, so it can help improve the condition to be more alkaline. The alkaline is the blue water versus acidic being the dishwater. So I know the lights can do that. And I also know that it can help with pain. And so that's one thing that sometimes we don't pay attention to is pain in the cavity. Hey, that's our friend, we need a bone. But we are calling my brush a modular device because we believe that there might be other uses for it. Right now, I'm just citing things that are my patent. And so my patent, we have the evidence to make claims about pH of the oral cavity, reducing tongue plaque. And then there's lots of literature that talks about the negative effects of having those symptoms in the mouth.
Right.
So only time will tell what the power of this little device can do. But for right now, it was designed for oral cavity health.
Right. Well, everything's a layering system, right? Like you start to, you exercise, you start to feel better. You take sugar out of your diet, the inflammation makes you start to feel better. So I feel like this is just going to be one of those layering effects. I don't think there's ever one thing that kind of cures all, unless you take one of those nasty pills and then you're just a drug addict, or not a drug addict, you're just drugged. You don't care.
And I believe you're correct. I believe it takes a whole toolbox of things to help someone with healing. You don't bake a cake with just one ingredient. And you don't just make a big, beautiful ornament cake with just, flour, butter, and sugar. So you have to be able to be the sous chef and figure out how things work, mix it in, trial and error. And that's how you create something exquisite or something more advanced. Yeah. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. It takes more than just a thing, and our bodies are not layered. They're all meatball together. So, but I personally believe that if we worked on the lymphatic system and we really ensured that our lymphatic system was optimally functioning, that we would see a lot of general good health happening anyway. So so the red beam, it really drives that. It drives circulation. It reduces swelling. It can help reduce sinusitis and things like that. So those are, things that don't make you feel good anyway, and they bring you forward so that your breathing comes off a little bit. And then, if you're not breathing well, your mouth opens up. So.
And the circle begins.
The circle begins.
The cesspool begins.
The whole cesspool begins, right?
Okay, so now I have to ask, do you have a timeline for this? I know you have the prototype, but do you have a timeline that this is going to be on market,
Thank you for asking. So right now we're looking for people to work with us. Is there anybody out there interested in working with us and bring this home? So we really want people who believe in oral systemic health. We really want to work with people that care about people. We really want to look at people who can see past, who are visionaries. And so right now we're in the prototype phase, and I've had this device, believe it or not, since 2016. And so, it just seemed the right time to fire it up again. And I do have an amazing consultant helping me with this. And right now it's just grassroots movement. That's all it is. But we both believe in this. We both believe in what a little bit of light can do, especially when you take care of the largest pathway to the lungs. That's always open for business, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I'm so glad we had this. Joyce, thank you so much. You're right on. I don't even question her anymore. I'm just like, okay, yep, fine. I'll figure out why she connected me after the fact. But I have so many, I'm going to share this because I know there's somebody out there, the right person. I love how you are saying, not just anybody. There's a lot about you. It's not just anybody. It doesn't matter if you can throw millions of dollars at it. It has to be the right person, because I can see that your heart and your passion is in this. You're not going to sell out to the bad guys, whoever those bad guys are.
There's a whole group of people that don't have access to water, period. And oral systemic health is a grave problem that's preventable. That's the scary part. This is preventable. Yeah. And so we have to think bigger and broader than what we're doing now. And not everybody can tolerate current methods to clean the mouth. And so we're in 2020. People have designed amazing things already for fragile people or very young people. And it's just about putting pieces together, really. Mm-hmm. And we can really drive a lot of good systemic health, I think, if we start looking at the oral cavity as a priority. It's not just cosmetics. Take another look.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for sharing. But you have to answer my final question before I let you go. This is a hard one. No, it's not hard at all. But in this moment right now, today, how do you, Judee, define love or see love or feel love?
I was hoping to be more about my love life. That's easier to answer, but
Whatever comes to your mind first.
Okay, so love is a desire. And so for me, I desire to do what I do. It's just something that brings me to tears when I think about the opportunities to serve. So that's just for me. But love, I think, comes in many colors. And the hardest love is to love someone from afar. So that just means that, you know, they've not maybe been the kindest to you, whatever, but they are a human being. They are worthy of your help or dignity. And I just have to always remember to practice that kind of love.
I got to write it down because these are good. These always make me
Thank
think throughout the day. Oh, well, thank you. I love that. Desire and love from afar. That's good. That is good. That means actually physical, just, you know, and also spiritual and emotional, that people don't love the same. People maybe not return your love, but that doesn't mean you can't give them that love. So that is, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing everything with us today. And yes, wherever you are, I don't even know, where do you live? Is it in Florida?
I live in Chandler, Arizona.
Shut the front door. Okay. Because I'm going to, that's where my brother lives. He lives yes. And I'm taking my boys there in July.
Okay. You got to come to my house and I'll take you out. And I hope you saw the dance. I'll take you. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I had no idea. That just even made my day even better. Woo. Okay. I'll see you sooner than I thought.
In 2 weeks.
Very, very cool. Oh,
thank you so much.
Out there, yes. Everybody out there, remember, love hard, love pure, and love true. Until next time. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you.